Hello everyone and welcome back to Multibus TV mixing and mastering tutorials on YouTube. I'm your host David, and in this video I want to show you an example of multiple parallel compression channels on drums and how you can use parallel compression in different ways, different compressors to get different things, because one thing I notice is that many use parallel compression, but they kind of do it blindly. They open up a parallel compression aux, but they don't really know what they want to get from it and what actually they want to get out of parallel compression in general, whether it's one or multiple like in this case. Of course, depending on the element we apply parallel compression on, we want different things, and as usual there are no rules. We might want more thickness for a vocal, more sustain on a bass, more attack on a synth, and so on. But I picked drums for this example because, first of all, this is a real-life mix. I just finished mixing this really cool song called Sanctuary by the artist Batlord, and I'm very happy how it came out. It's not released yet, so I can play you the whole thing, but it will be uploaded on our SoundCloud page as soon as we get the go. Second reason is because I used multiple parallel compressors and channels for this drum, and I use them in different ways, wanting to get specific things out of each parallel channel. Another reason is because I think drums are a good example for this tutorial, because there are very different things you might want to get out of different compressors on this instrument, and I think it makes a good example to explain concept that you can then apply to many other instruments in a mix. On this mix I had a ridiculous amount of compression going on the two bus. All hardware. I had my Drummer 1973 multiband in stereo, followed by my API 2500, but this was in mid-side, which is a killer combination for the two bus, really off the hook. The point is, for this mix, two bus processing and hardware specifically really made a ginormous difference and really affected the overall sound. So things are not gonna sound the same as the final mix, but it's gonna be okay for this video. Actually, we are gonna break this mix down in future videos, and I've already printed the mix with and without both those compressors I had on the two bus. But let's get to our parallel compression channels. So for this mix I have all my output buses, drums, bass, guitar, etc. And as you can see here, I have 3 parallel channels, these yellow one here. Let me play you a little bit of the mix. Let's solo the drum and listen how that sounds. So we have the first track, the X-Comp1, the X-Comp2, and the X-Dist, which is automated. As you can see here, it comes in the beginning and the choruses only. So let's mute this and let's play the drum without them. Let's play it with. So not a night and day difference, but again, with all the compression that was going on the two bus, it was more obvious than this. Let's take a look at the first one. The first one has nothing on the SSL channel, just a cut of 10 dB around 500. And the processing that I use in this parallel compression is the free plugin Devil Lock by Sound Toys. Let's hear out this channel sound by itself. I had to do some routing to solo this. Now, as you can see, it's not the drums, the whole drum bus, that it goes to this X-Comp1. Only kick and snare go to that bus. So if we take a look here, we see the kick sum is going to X-Comp1 and the snare sum is going to X-Comp1. So let's listen to it in solo. And from this X-Comp1, I just wanted more thickness for the kick and the snare. more density. So with the devil lock, by engaging both crush and crunch, I'm compressing, I'm distorting, I'm getting more density, but I'm not getting the pick level, I'm not getting the transient. And by sending just the kick and the snare, I don't have the cymbals going in and getting distorted and getting nasty without this. So with the drum, now the level is higher than it would be because this would be it. Especially the kick gets thicker, the snare gets thicker, everything really just have more power. Okay, so this was the first one. So let's see the second one. Let's see the processing on the second one. We have nothing on the SSL. And one of my favorite compressor for parallel compression, specifically on drums, but on pretty much everything, the Softtube Dynamite. So we are feeding this XComp2 aux channel with the whole drum bus. As you can see here, I'm sending it pre-fader, unity gain, to this XComp2. Let's listen to it. So, what did I want to get out of this second parallel compression? As you can hear and you can see from the setting, I wanted sustain, I wanted more room, and I wanted to pump, and I didn't want the transient. Again, I used the pick setting, not the average, because I want to squash the transient. I didn't want the level increase of the transient. I just wanted the density, and I wanted to pump. That was important for me. So for example, if I wanted more snap, I would have used the average instead of the peak in the detector section. Let me give you an example. This would let the transient pass. Now it's obviously clipping right now because the transient pass, but using the peak detection, the transients get smashed, the drum pumps, and you get this really big sounding room. Let's hear it with the drum and the other parallel compression. Without it. Again, it seems very subtle, but when you push it on the 2 bus with all the other compression, it really comes up. And another thing that I did is just to open up the stereo image on this parallel compression channel, which is another trick that you can use. As you can see, the frequency is limited. The stereo imaging is not opening below 900 Hertz. So without it. So I wanted this really, really wide, roomy sound. And yes, you need to watch for phase when you do something like this on a parallel channel, but the level compared to the dry drum bus, it was so low that it's not a problem. You just add this little bit of thickness and width. Now let's take a look at the third parallel channel, which is this X-Disc channel here. Let's hear how it sounds by itself. Now for this one, I used the Mac DSP fuzz box. You can see I had the distortion setting on and the lo-fi setting on. That's it. But then one interesting thing is the compressor that follows. So the FUTS box is just for the distortion, but the compressor that I put after it is sidechained with the kick. So the kick drum is our trigger. So you will see when the kick hits, this X-disc channel gets compressed. Because again, I wanted it to pump, and I wanted it to pump triggered by the kick drum. So without it, with, and again, I used once again the S1 to open the stereo field because I'm not worried about the mid channel here. I'm not worried about losing power in the mid channel. I have my dry drum bus, which is strong enough in the middle, so I don't have to worry about this here. Let's hear it with the drum. If you're asking why I have this free G here, it's just to make it easy to hear. The difference is not that high in the mix. This would be the level. Let's go to the chorus. Let's open up the other parallel channels. Without. Okay, so as you can see, the X-disc, like I said, it comes in at the beginning and in the choruses. But yeah, this is one way that I use parallel compression. So different compressors, different distortions, especially for drums, to give thickness in one case. If I want, for example, more snap, I would use the Valet Dynamite in average settings, or another compressor with a slower attack to make the transient snappier if I want more click, for example, for the kick, or more snap to the snare. But in this case, it was mostly density, and overall it was subtle, the effect of these three parallel channels. But this is just an example. With parallel compression, there are many things that you want to get out of it, and sometimes it's more attack, sometimes it's more density, more sustain, more room, like in this case, and color. Distortion is color. In this case, we have two different kind of distortion, two different kind of color that just add to the overall sound. So this is it for this video. I hope it was useful. I hope you liked it. If you did, please don't forget to click the like button. Each like counts. And if you have any question, write it in the comment section down below. Join us on Facebook and Twitter to keep in touch with us, stay updated with all the news, the upcoming series and videos. Please keep supporting Mixbus TV by sharing the videos and linking the channel on social media, Facebook pages, blogs and forums. Subscribe if you haven't already, and see you next time.